Hey guys, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're going to be talking about my March reading wrap-up. So I'm going to be doing this in two parts because I read a total of 28 books in March. I'm a little bit salty that I didn't hit 30 books because I was so close, and I was going to squeeze in a couple of shorter audiobooks and a couple more graphic novels, but things just didn't come in time. But pretty proud of myself. I did read a lot of short books this month and a lot of graphic novels. That's how I was able to read so many books. But today we're only going to be talking about the books that I did not read for Galaxyathon or that were not space related. So this is going to be a space-free book reading wrap-up. And we're just going to talk about the things basically I read before Galaxyathon and then after Galaxyathon, which was my space-themed readathon that I hosted for 2 weeks. Part 1 of the vlog should be up. I'll link it up here in the cards if you guys want to go and check it out, and I'm editing the second vlog right now. So a couple of physical books that I read at the very beginning of the month, and I haven't been doing the best with my physical books over the last couple of years, but it seems to kind of be picking up again. One big thing that I'm doing for the year is finishing up some series. I said I was doing this last year, but I'm actually doing it this year. And so I've got some duologies and trilogies and series that I started over the last like 4 or 5 years since I've been filming videos here on YouTube, and I really want to wrap up the ones that I was wanting to continue reading. There were some that I liked the first book, but I had no interest in reading the rest. There were a bunch that I just never picked up. So I started with Drift and Dagger by Kendall Culper. So this is the second book in the Salt and Storm duology, but it's almost a standalone because it's basically a prequel following a different character. I would still suggest reading Salt and Storm first and then this book, but you could really do it either way. And you definitely don't have to read Salt and Storm and this book. I do think it's nice though because we get some of the characters in here and it's got the same world. So Salt and Storm, I think they're on Prince Edward Island. There's this family of witches and they each get a different magical power when they kind of come of age, and it's used to kind of help protect the island and its people and help them in different ways. Our main character's mother did not really want to participate in this, so she's kind of tried to keep her away from this and away from her grandmother. And she's kind of getting back to the island and trying to figure out what her powers are, what she can help, and then a bunch of stuff happens. I read it for Mermaid Marathon because I wasn't sure if it was going to be mermaidy. It is not, but it's got a lot of island oceany vibes. I loved Salt and Storm. It was so incredible. I was really blown away. I had low expectations for this one. I don't know if it's just because I didn't like the cover, but I was like, let's just read it. I own it. We'll get it done. And I really enjoyed this one too. So I gave this one 4 stars. It was really fun, and you guys, it was kind of like a Six of Crows style. It's got like a heist in here. So in this one, you're following the timeline of when our main character from Salt and Storm's mother was growing up. And so there's a different character in here, a male character that's kind of interconnected with her mother. But there's like a whole magical heist that happens, and I just super enjoyed it. So our main character, Mal, is considered a blank, and he cannot be affected by magic. So nobody can use magical powers on him. Because of that, it's considered kind of dangerous and also could be used by magical people for different things. And so he kind of has to keep this a secret. And then he's one day forced to leave the island and kind of try and survive. It's so good. I was so shocked how much I love this one. I physically read it in like 3 or 4 days. Highly recommend. Really want to read more from Kendall Culper. I think there's a new book coming out this year. It's like a murder mystery, if I'm remembering correctly. Really want to check it out, but loved. Then I physically read Teardrop by Lauren Kate. This is one I've had my eyes on for a while. I wasn't sure if it was mermaidy. The second book kind of looks like mermaidy vibes. I really enjoyed this like a lot. Again, I physically read it. It was really quick. So in this one, our main character, Eureka, has drilled into her that she is not allowed to cry. And she doesn't really understand why, and she's basically like in danger, and her crying can bring upon magical things. It's kind of ridiculous and over the top, but for this particular book, I really enjoyed it. I found it really fun. It's very angsty. It's definitely very like old school YA, but I just had a blast reading it. That was really fun. I'm reading Waterfall right now, which is the second book. I'll talk more about that in April, but it's weird. Not recommending that one, but I really enjoyed this first book. Definitely doesn't have mermaids in it, but it does have those kind of like water vibes about it, so it would work for that if you want. I also reread We Hunt the Flame, but I've talked about this book almost too much on my channel, so if you want to hear my thoughts about it, you can watch my February reading wrap-up as well as my 5-star TBR vlog. I read it twice for reasons, so I wanted to let you guys know that I did read that this month. Like, it was kind of a 3.5-star read, so I've read it twice this year. Again, if you want to find out why, go watch those other vlogs and things, but that was part of why I had read so many books in March. Then I read Gilded by Marissa Meyer. So excited. Marissa Meyer is my favorite author. I just enjoy her books so much. Even her contemporary that wasn't that good, I was still like, but the characters and Marissa, I love her. She just writes really fun, magical, like ragtag team of characters types of vibes. This one was very different from her other books. It is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. So our main character is kind of known for like telling stories. She can like enchant children with her stories, and she's really good at basically like lying and coming up with tall tales. It's said that she was cursed by the god of lies, and she basically has like spinning wheels in her eyes. It's very interesting. So one day her outlandish tales draw the attention of a sinister Earl King and his undead hunters, and she finds herself swept away into his grim world where ghouls and phantoms prowl the earth and hollow-eyed ravens track her every move. The king orders her to complete an impossible task of spinning straw into gold or be killed for telling falsehoods. And then she unwittingly summons a mysterious boy to her aid. He agrees to help her, but for a price. It was so good, and it was dark. Like, I was very surprised because it starts out like even her darker books are still kind of lighthearted. They're still kind of like Disney-esque, but it was dark, like really dark. Like, not overly dark. It was just darker than I expected for her. Would be great for fall and Halloween time because it almost has like a haunted castle vibe to it. There's like ghosts and creatures and elves and all kinds of things. Absolutely loved it. It was not quite a 5-star, but I feel like this, as the series goes on, it might turn into a 5-star, if that makes sense. Really enjoyed it. The cover for the next one's amazing, and I can't wait to read it. And then lastly, I finished The Hunt by Megan Shepherd and Gauntlet by Megan Shepherd. So this is part of the Cage series. I started the Cage last year for Hikeathon because this story is about teenagers that wake up and they're like in a habitat, the zoo type place for humans, and they don't know how they got there. I think there's only 6 of them. They kind of team up and are trying to figure out why they're there. There's different like mysteries and puzzles and things they have to solve, and it's very unique. So the second and the third book are very different from the first one, but I really enjoyed them. This is one of the most unique trilogies I've ever read, and it just kept getting more like complex in a good way, and you get really attached to the characters. I love Megan Shepherd's Madman's Daughter series. Kind of the opposite of Gilded. This one was not dark in that way that Madman's Daughter is, but it was still great. I had such a fun time with this series, following these teenagers, figuring out why they're like in this dome place, and then the next books kind of change up the story. It was really good. It was really unexpected, and it's very different and unique. Loved it. And I wound up giving both of these 4 stars. So I think that that is all that I read that was not space or galaxy themed. So I should have 22 space books to talk to you guys about. Very excited to talk to you guys about those because I read some amazing things. So stay tuned for my Galaxyathon reading wrap-up. Hopefully coming here very soon. I did want to touch on, because I didn't in that video, so I had some challenges that I wanted to do at the beginning of the year. The main one is finishing up series. So here's the new picture for the series I have finished so far. I only added 1 this month, and I'm not adding any series that I'm starting this year until the end of the year. Kind of cheating a little bit, but that's my plan. So I finished 1 this month. Not the best, but I have big plans for April, so we'll see how that goes. Let me know how many books you read in March and what you enjoyed the most. Let me know if you read any of these or if you plan to. Stay tuned for that second part of the reading wrap-up, and I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side.